Well, hey, welcome back. I wanted to share something with you that I just kind of noticed for the first time. And it has to do with Bible prophecy. Revelation chapter 21, verse 16 and 17 talks about the New Jerusalem coming out of heaven. And it says that it is when you convert the furlongs or whatever it says, it turns into 1,500 miles squared. Um, and that's the size of the New Jerusalem, 1,500 miles wide, 1,500 miles uh, long, 1,500 miles high. So it's a pretty big, it's going to be a huge city. And I've always been told, and I've always thought when I heard that, because it says that it's the city lieth four square, that it is the size of a cube, or it's going to be the shape of a cube because all sides are equal in length and height and width. So yeah, naturally I just thought, well, it's going to be a cube. And the Holy of Holies in the temple and in the tabernacle was also measured as a cube in its shape also. So it just seems to make sense that the New Jerusalem will be this huge cube, almost like a planet, almost like a moon is how big it will be. But then I started thinking, actually, this is what got me thinking. The funniest thing, I was watching the movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise is an occultist, and there's a lot of symbolism in his movies that I think have to do with what the enemy is up to. Anyways, in this movie, it's a space kind of alien movie, a post-apocalyptic scenario. And in the movie, the moon is destroyed, and out of space comes this big old pyramid that's run by the aliens that is kind of runs Earth. And the pyramid is inverted, it's upside down. Anyways, that I just started thinking about, what's he trying to say with this? And then I started thinking, well, what did all the pagans, what were they trying to say when they were building all these ancient pyramids in Egypt and in South America and everywhere else that you can find these things, in Mexico, and they're everywhere. And I remembered that some stuff I was reading was about how the pyramids were made to be, they're not tombs. They might have been used later to bury kings in, but originally they were built like a Tower of Babel. They were a mountain, a synthetic, man-made, or even made by the fallen angels or the Nephilim, it could have been. But these are made to resemble mountains, and they were holy mountains where you would reach the gods and the gods would come down to men. That's what the Tower of Babel was. That's what the ziggurats in Samaria, in Babylon, and everywhere. They resemble mountains, high places. And this is why in the Old Testament, God forbade his people from making sacrifices on high places, because this was a pagan practice in order to commune with the gods, with the false gods, or the fallen angels. And the devil, everything he does is a counterfeit of what God does, or what God represents, or what God says. He does the opposite, or he does a counterfeit of it in every way. He's not very creative. And he perverts the things that God makes and that God plants. He perverts it. So I started thinking, what if these pyramids were a knockoff a demonic, diabolical knockoff of God's holy mountain. And then I looked in Hebrews, I think it's chapter 11, where it calls Mount Zion the city of God, the heavenly Jerusalem. And that's where I clicked. What looks more like a mountain, a pyramid or a cube? Well, a pyramid starts wide at the bottom and narrows to a pinnacle at the top. And that's what these pyramids have always represented. And what if the heavenly Jerusalem, which is called Mount Zion in Hebrews, really is just a big pyramid? And that's the dwelling place that God will bring to earth to dwell with his people, this huge city. And the devil in ancient times wanted that replicated for himself. He wanted people in these great pyramids worshiping him or ascending them, and he would descend to them. So it just made me question and rethink something I've read 100 million times and thought I understood. And then when I looked at the word in Revelation 21, it just says that the width, the breadth, and the height are 1,500 miles. It doesn't say the shape. It just says the width, the length, and the height. And a pyramid can also fit the description. This is not something I would have a conviction about, or it could very well be a cube. And we have that pattern also in the tabernacle and the temple. So it very well could be a cube. I'm okay with that. God can make it a cube. He can make it a pyramid. But I did, after thinking about it a little bit harder and realizing that Mount Zion is called the city of God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and the devil replicates everything and tries to counterfeit everything, and there's pyramids all over the world. I thought maybe that's what the New Jerusalem is. It's this big pyramid. That whole thing was God's idea in the first place. Anyways, just a thought, something I thought was kind of cool, something I was pondering on and looking at the scripture and looking at history and just going, maybe that's what's going to come out of the sky. And that would be pretty cool. It's going to freak a lot of people out.